Hello everyone, my name is Sri Sharda. Today I'll be presenting my teach one on the topic Markov blanket for week 2 of our Happy 23 course under the guidance of Dr. Ronald Woodman. So let's begin by understanding what directed acyclic graphs or DAGs are and their importance in modeling variable interactions. So directed acyclic graphs, commonly referred to as DAGs, are a type of graph that is utilized extensively in the field of statistics, computer science, and other fields to model the interactions between the variables. A DAG is defined by its directed edges, which indicate the direction of the effect, and its acyclic nature, which means it does not contain any cycles. This characteristic guarantees that the relationships are organized hierarchically and that there are no feedback loops. So to further illustrate this, let's look at a specific DAG involving 5 variables. Here we have a directed acyclic graphs involving 5 variables x, y, z and w and t. The directed edges between these nodes represent causal relationships. For instance, x influences y influences t. Understanding these connections help us analyze the dependencies and conditional independencies among the variables. Now that we understand DAG structure, let's explore a key concept called Markov blanket. So what is this? A Markov blanket of a node in a DAG is the minimal set of nodes that render the node conditionally independent of all other nodes in the graph. It includes the node's parents, children, and other parents of its children. This concept is crucial because it identifies the most relevant variables that directly influence or are influenced by the target variable. Now that we understand what a Markov blanket is and why is it important, let's apply this concept to our given question. So the question is, using the following graph, answer the following questions. We have a graph and there are all about 5 questions we need to answer. So let's go one by one. So question 1a. List the Markov blanket of y. So for the node y, its Markov blanket includes its parents and children. So the parents of y are x and w, and the children of node y are z and t. So moving on to the next question. List the Markov blanket of w. So for node w, its Markov blanket includes its parents and children. So the parents of w are x and the children of w are y and z. So the next question is, list the parents in the Markov blanket of z. So for node z, its Markov blanket will include its parents and children. But in this case, we need to list the parents in the Markov blanket of z. So in this case, w and y are the parents of z. Next question. If it regress z on x, w, y and not t, which variables will be statistically significant? So when we regress z on x, w and y and not t, we need to consider the direct parents of z. According to this graph, the direct parents of z are y and w. Therefore, the statistically significant variables in this regression are likely to be y and w. X may not be significant as it does not have a direct influence on z. For the final question, we need for measuring the unconfounded effect of y on t, which arcs in the graph should be stratified. So to measure the unconfounded effect of y on t, we need to remove the confounding influences. In this graph, we need to remove the arcs x to y and w to y. This isolates the effect of y on t, by blocking the backdoor paths that would introduce the bias. So, in conclusion, understanding the Markov blanket aids in determining the relevant variables within the DAG that impacts the target variable. Analysis of the conditional dependencies and independencies is also simplified. Focusing on Markov blanket helps us identify statistically significant variables and reduce the confounding factors to quantify the causal effects. This understanding is essential for building correct statistical models and judgments. Thank you for listening to my teach one. Hope it will help you solve the question one on Markov blanket for this week's assignment.